The WeatherTech Sports Car Championship on IMSA Radio.
Welcome to our qualifying sessions for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship at beautiful WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, just off the coast on the Monterey Peninsula. Beautiful part of the world to come at any time of year. It is particularly lovely today. 25 Celsius in the air. That is 77 Fahrenheit. A toasty 44 Celsius for our Michelin tyres on the track. That's Nelson, 111 Fahrenheit. The left coast is the best coast. That's what people around here tell us. This circuit has been an absolute star down through the years. And when you've got the history that this place has, when you've got a corner called Andretti Hairpin and the Rahal Straight and Rainy Curve, then you know that you're in the presence of greatness. The dry lake, the Laguna Seca, is right in the middle of the track. The old circuit used to go from turn 2 up to turn 5, but the infield loop was put in many years ago and has made for a very interesting overtaking point at turn 2, also potentially at turn 5. New tarmac off the edges of turn 5 and turn 6, also coming down through Rainy at turn 9, and into that tighter right-hander at turn number 10. Let's head straight down to Shea Adam, who's enjoying the beautiful weather, as many of you are here at the circuit. Good afternoon to you, Shea, and welcome along to the broadcast. What can you tell us about the drivers for GTD and GTD Pro?
Good afternoon, John. I can tell you we have a plethora of excellent qualifiers to come for this session. Let's start with the Lexuses. I'm going to go from the pit out end of things. The 14 Lexus is being qualified by Jack Hawksworth. The sister car, the number 12, which is GTD, will be qualified by Frank Montecalvo. As far as the 79 WeatherTech Racing Mercedes is concerned, Danny Giangadea put in the fastest time of the race last year. He's going to see if he can do it in qualifying. We've got Jordan Taylor, a guy who's been on pole here a few times, taking the honors for Corvette Racing in the number 3. And Klaus Bachler, newbie to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, is qualifying for Pfaff Motorsport in their Porsche. Continuing on in GTD Pro, we've got the 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. Alex Riberas put the car on pole in that livery, but a different brand. Back in 2016, went on to win the race. He's going to see if he can do that again today. The sister car, the number 27, is being qualified by Roman DeAngelis. Points leader in GTD is Paul Miller Racing, and once again, as it has been in every session so far this year, Madison Snow taking up the honors for qualifying that car. The number 7 Inception Racing car, that is Brendan Areeb, who is doing qualifying duties for them. For Turner and Tacos, because they're taco hunting today in Northern California, it is Patrick Gallagher, a guy who's won here many times before in Mazda competition, driving an MX-5 Cup car. He's going out for qualifying, and the sister car, the number 97, that is going to be Chandler Hull behind the wheel for the qualifying session. And then I've made it all the way down at least to the 66 because I was curious. We heard from Catherine Lake earlier on that the JG Wentworth Acura from Gradient Racing might just mix up the plans. No, it's Sheena Monk who's qualifying for them. And in the number 32, the Cawthorpe Mercedes, that is once again Mike Skeen. I cannot see a bright yellow helmet behind the wheel of the number 77. I actually see a dark helmet. So that would be Alan Brynjolfsson qualifying for the Wright Motorsport Porsche. And in the number 78, this Lamborghini was the fastest car in the last practice session. It's Misha Goikberg taking qualifying duties for them.
Thank you, Shea, and well done in that impromptu pit walk. Jeremy Shaw, as ever, joins me in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre for one of my favourite sessions of the weekend outside of racing, to be honest. I really like these short, sharp qualifying sessions, and on a track this is our first 2-hour 40-minute race, standard in inverted commas, race of the season. On a track where there's only a couple of places to pass, qualifying takes on an even more important role here, Jeremy, and how the guys use their tyres in these qualifying sessions even more so.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because this place is hard on tyres. It is a great racetrack, and yeah, I'm right with you. I love these qualifying sessions. First of all, we can concentrate on one class at a time,
yes,
which I like.
Yes.
And secondly, get out there, do it. Don't just talk about it, go do it. That's what qualifying is all about. And yeah, they've had 2 days of practice to get ready for this. There goes the green flag. Now it'll be 15 minutes then for both of the GTD classes, pro and non-pro. And John, this is going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be excellent. I honestly, I can't wait for it. Don't expect to see a one and done style effort from these cars. It'll probably take, well, we saw a number of them burning up a set of Michelin tyres in the free practice session earlier on, didn't we? And it took probably 2 laps before they felt comfortable to go for a quick lap. And after that, they probably had 2 laps, possibly 3. And that was the best performance out of the tyres on this surface, Jeremy.
Yeah, I agree. You know, laps 3 or 4 should be the real hot ticket, I think. If you can get it done then, all credit to you, because I think the tyres are then absolutely at their best. I mean, the tyres are pretty darn good. I mean, they'll hang in there certainly, and you can turn some pretty good laps, but that's when the tyres are absolutely in their sweet spot. And if you can, that's when you need to nail it, get your best lap in, no mistakes, clean, you've done your homework, you're ready to go. Now it's time.
Well, let's just see what the tactics are. There will be over 20 cars out, so the GTD pros and the GTDs. No difference in the cars, by the way. It is only the makeup of the driving squads that decides whether it is GTD or GTD Pro. Generally speaking, the GTD Pros have an element of factory support, manufacturer support in that. I said generally speaking, it's not always the case, but it does mean that you can have more experienced drivers in the GTD Pro category. In fact, the whole point is you can have 3 pro drivers, fully pro drivers, whereas in GTD you have to have a non-pro driver in your squad. So thanks to the tracker, which is livetiming.alcamelsystems.com/IMSA/positioning, I can see that we've got a reasonable spread of cars. They haven't all gone out one behind the other, as we saw a bit earlier on for Pilot Challenge, which I did think was quite interesting. And now we've got to see how the tyres react to what is the hottest track temperature that we've seen all day. 44 Celsius is 111 Fahrenheit. Once you start to get up to the mid-40s and beyond, it becomes far more difficult to accurately decide what the starting pressures of your Michelin tyres need to be. They will heat up, of course, as you put energy into them, as you accelerate and brake, and particularly when you lean on them through the corners. So you've got to get that right. If you under pressure them, it'll take too long to get them to the right temperature and therefore into the right performance window. If you over pressurize them, they'll come up too quickly and they'll go off too quickly as well. That is the black art, pun absolutely intended, of being a tyre engineer, and Michelin have some of the best in the world assigned to the teams here in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. What sort of qualifying times should we be looking for, Jeremy Shaw?
Yeah, well, last year's pole position in it was taken by Matthew Jaminet in the pro class at 1:23.1. Russell Ward was fastest in non-pro at 23.5. Those are also the lap records for qualifying. The fastest lap we've seen so far in the 2 practice sessions was set by Loris Spinelli in the Forte Racing powered by US Racetronics number 78 Lamborghini at 1:24.1. So about half a second off the fastest times for non-pro, second off the time for pro from last year. But in terms of race pace, the fastest lap last year was a 24.4. That was Danny Juncadella in Mercedes, 24.4. So we're looking for, it's pretty warm this afternoon, isn't it? It's certainly heated up considerably, I think, from this morning. So I would think maybe high 23s would be a pretty good lap.
Okay, see what we get down to. We're already a third into this session, and nobody has, well, I was about to say nobody's put a representative lap down. Russell Ward with a 26.9. No, that's nearly 27. No, forget that. Forget what I was saying there. Nobody's put down a representative lap yet. And he was the last driver out of the pit lane. Russell Ward, that is, I'm talking about, for Winward Racing. So now there's Alex Udell, who's just gone past the start-finish line in the Porsche 992 GT3R for Kelly Moss with Riley. It's the number 92 car. 126.0, 126.4 for the team car. Alan Metney, the number 91 car. We've got another Porsche coming to the line shortly as well, being the Rexy, the T-Rex number 80, the EO car. My goodness, they've had a lot of bad luck and a lot of work to do with damaged Porsches recently, hence the little cast on the door, the arm of the T-Rex. Seb Prior doing the qualifying. 125.5. Now that's all right, Jeremy, for a first quick one from the young Guernseyman, Seb Prior.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That car's best lap of the weekend so far was a 24.882 yesterday by Seb. So you know, half a second or so off that. That was his third lap. Fourth lap completed now by Juncadella and by Roman De Angelis. They're down now low 25s, 25.0 for Danny Juncadella in car number 679. That's the Mercedes for WeatherTech Racing, and the Harter Racing Aston Martin team's number 27 car is in second position. Those two covered by 0.043 of a second at the moment.
Still some time, I would think, to go. I'm keeping an eye on the track temperature in particular, and it's not going down, and it's not standing still either. It's still going up. 45 Celsius now. That's 113 Fahrenheit on this circuit. Now bear in mind, this is quite a light coloured surface, so it takes a while to get that heat into it and retain that solar energy. That is very, very hot indeed. 25.0 and 25.0 for respectively those two times that Jeremy mentioned. One for GTD Pro, one for GTD. So it's Juncadella, the best overall and in Pro, and Roman De Angelis, the best in GTD. Then Prior, another quarter of a tenth behind for AO Racing with a 25.0, 8.4, 25.3 for the second of the Pro cars, Jordan Taylor for Corvette Racing. Now there's no split qualifying here and no split start. So if this, as they are at the moment, we would have Roman De Angelis on pole position, and he'd be alongside Alex Riberas, his teammate. So it would be a GTD ahead of a GTD Pro. Harter Racing have found the sweet spot of setup. Big moment for Jared Andretti in the number 94 blue, black and white Aston Martin, way over the curb at the corkscrew, Jeremy, and that would have been a bit uncomfortable there, because I think he actually got, he hammered the left front down into the metal grate there that is behind the curb at the top of the corkscrew.
Indeed, so yeah, missed the first left-hand apex there by quite a margin, did Jared, and carrying way too much speed at the middle of the corner, so carried on wide. That'll cost him some time on that lap, but still, it's still got plenty of time remaining in this session. 6 minutes still remaining. It's amazing how quickly time ticks by, though, isn't it? But yeah, that those two Aston Martins, they're running, I think, pretty close together on the racetrack. Riberas briefly was on top, and then eclipsed by about a tenth of a second by his young teammate Roman De Angelis.
Down to just under 6 minutes remaining, and Jack Hawksworth comes to the party and sticks the Vassar Sullivan number 14 car to the head of the GTD Pro. Now we've got 5 GTD Pros, Jeremy, from second down to 6, but that Roman De Angelis time still the best of all of the GTDs.
Yeah, and the 5 GTD Pro cars, they're 0.08 behind Roman De Angelis, but the next 5 GTD Pro cars are covered by a hair over a tenth of a second.
How close do you like it is a phrase I hear quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's 5 different manufacturers, of course. Lexus, Aston Martin, Porsche, Mercedes and Chevrolet. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Seb Prior next up in 7th is the second GTD car. But again, I'll make the point, if this stays as it is, he would start on the inside of row 4, whereas the pole sitter in GTD would be on the pole, on the inside of row 1, and therefore there would be 5 GTD pros between first and second. There is no class split as the cars will line up tomorrow. They'll line up as they qualify in this session.
That's exactly right, and we're looking now potentially at a repeat of what happened at Long Beach, where the number 27 car, I'll have to come back to that, but the 27 car was on the pole position, but then it was Marco Sorensen that had qualifying duties rather than Roman De Angelis this week. However, John,
Klaus Bachler, who was a little bit later out of the pit lane than everybody else, he's just completed 5 laps, and he's gone to the top for Pfaff, for Porsche, for the plaid Motul car, and it's a 1:24.529, and that takes him a massive 0.118 of a second ahead of the rest of the field, as Roman De Angelis, still pole for GTD, pits. But now his nearest competition is the Kelly Moss with Riley Porsche, the number 92 car of Alex Udell, who's half a tenth of a second away and has stayed out to do another lap.
yes, he has indeed. And Klaus Bachler, his first time here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, put it on the pole first time out here. That's a pretty good effort, because this is not an easy track to get right. There's a couple of corners here that are particularly difficult. One we're on board with going through with the Corvette there, turn 9. Turn 10's also very tricky with that sort of bowl in the middle of the corner, but it's awfully easy to miss that bowl and get hung out wide there. And the other really tricky corner is turn 5, turn 6, excuse me, going up the hill. It's a great racetrack and a really fine effort for Klaus Bachler.
Yeah, Klaus Bachler, his only appearances in IMSA in the past were at Daytona until this year. This is his first full season of competition in IMSA, and trust me, I would have lost a lot of money if somebody had asked me that question. And so all of these tracks, bar Daytona, that he's competing on with Pfaff, are brand new to him this year. And I can only imagine, because I know Klaus quite well, I can only imagine how much fun he's having, because it's the first time that he's been to these tracks, Jeremy.
Yeah, really. Stout effort, really impressive by him, because this track has basically no similarities to Daytona.
New TTD pole sitter, and onto the front row. I said Alec Udell was staying out for another lap, and he's made that extra lap count. He's put an extra couple of laps on his Michelin tyres. He'll have to start on those tomorrow, of course, but it has been worth it. He's just bumped Roman De Angelis off pole position and off the front row of the starting grid. Porsches 1 and 2, Pfaff and Kelly Moss with Riley, and that's the GTD Pro and the GTD pole sitters, both in Porsches. Do you know, when grip is at a premium, when things are sliding around, call for a Porsche 911. 60 years old this year, but still able to get the job done. Down to the last.
I mean, the 992 is a bit. No, the 992 is a bit different to the first Porsche 911s, isn't it? But your point is well made, and that was a brilliant effort by both of those two, but just separated by 1/100th of a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
10th of a second back to Roman De Angelis, 0.007 between the two Aston Martins. How's that for a stat? 007 between the two Harter Racing cars. They've actually planned that, haven't they? WeatherTech Racing and Daniel Yucadea is in 5th position at the moment. We're coming to the end of the session, 42 seconds remaining. I'm surprised to see so many people staying out for this full run, Jeremy. Suggests to me that they think that they must surely have saved tyres for tomorrow's race, because they have to start on these tyres, but they'll be wanting to get rid of some of these tyres fairly quickly, because they've been given a pretty decent workout here in 113 Fahrenheit track temperature, 45 Celsius. These tyres Even after cooling down overnight, they're allowed to scrape all the rubbish off. But my goodness me, they've been given a workout.
They have, and Jack Hawksworth, he did only 6 laps in total with the Vassar Sullivan Lexus car number 14. He's qualified 4th in the class, looking at currently on a streak of 7, by the way, consecutive podium finishes dating back to last year, including a victory last time out at Long Beach. But he did only 6 laps in total. Danny Juncadella has just completed his 10th lap as he takes the checkered flag first to do so in the WeatherTech Mercedes. And his last lap was a 24.8, which is only a 1/10 of a second off his best time.
Checkered flag is out, Jeremy. And Russell Ward's still out there. Mike Skeen's still out there for Team Corthoff. And Mike actually improves, jumps up a couple of positions to 6th position in the number 32 Mercedes-Benz. Jarrett Andretti, I think, probably using this as much as an extra practice session as anything else for Andretti Autosport. This is their first outing with the Aston Martin Vantage GT3. He crosses the line, doesn't improve his time, and that is everybody across the line. So we can now congratulate 2 Porsche drivers, Klaus Bachler for Pfaff Motorsport in the plaid Porsche, and Alec Udell for Kelly Moss with Riley. We'll wait for them to drive up, and then Shea will grab a word in a moment. Very, very impressed by both of those drivers. Klaus Bachler has been a class act for years, Jeremy, and he's just showing how good he is when he can come to a track like this and plant it on pole position at the first time of asking.
Yeah, agreed. It's hard to believe he's 31 years of age nowadays, because he seems to have been around forever. But at the same time, it seems like not long ago that he was beginning to make a name for himself. But yeah, fine effort by both of those two. For both of them, their first ever pole position, of course, in WeatherTech competition. And also a really good run there for Alan Metney. Shout out for Alan Metney in the Kelly Moss with Riley, car number 91. He's qualified 9th out of 16 in GTD. And for a guy who started racing only, I guess 4 or 5 years ago now, but not that long ago, certainly. He's not a professional by any means, but he's qualified within a second of the factory drivers and the vastly experienced guys ahead of him. Really good effort by Alan, who of course didn't take part in last weekend's Porsche Carrera Cup North America at the Miami Formula One Grand Prix, because he wanted to focus his attention on getting ready for this weekend here. This is his priority this year. It's the WeatherTech Championship rather than Carrera Cup North America, despite the fact he was leading the Pro-Am class in points prior to Miami. But he was cool with giving that up, and he's shown why. It was a good effort by him, and of course his teammate Alec Udell will start on the pole position in GTD.
Well, the 2 pole sitters are up at the end of pit lane as the rest of the cars go back behind the wall. Alec Udell is just disrobing. Shea Adam has got there. Let's talk to one of our pole sitters. Who you got, Shea?
Way to go. All right.
Hello, Shea. Can you hear us? Well, I know Shea's there, but I can't hear it at the moment. Hello, Shea. Can you hear us?
Hey, so we got Alec Udell out of the car after a good qualifying effort. You guys did good. I got my shot for this Kelly Moss team at this level. You guys had a good run at Sebring a couple races ago.
Pole position once again for Pfaff Motorsport. This time it comes in the hands of Klaus Bachler. First time pole position for Klaus. First time he's been to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Klaus, congratulations. How good does this feel?
I mean, amazing. Thanks to the team. Thanks to also Patrick, my teammate. They pushed me so hard. I have to say it's quite a challenging season for me because I don't know a lot of tracks here. But we work really good. Car was amazing today for qualifying. The track is really cool. So many fans out there, which I enjoyed. The layout is mega. Grip level is a bit low, but it's for everybody the same. And I'm just happy about the pole position.
Congratulations on your qualifying. The last time it was a pole position for Pfaff here, they went on to win, so good luck tomorrow.
Hope so, yeah. Thanks.
I could hear the smile in his voice there, Shea, and he's probably still smiling, now. I know he's a pro driver. I know he takes this stuff in his stride, but you can't help hearing that emotion in his voice. He's really loving being here and doing this full season. Shit.
No, and this means the world to him too, especially because it's a massive confidence boost for Klaus. He had that big crash in Sebring qualifying, remember? So for him, this is justification that he does belong here, and especially considering Faf pole position last year for Matthew Jaminet, who also had never been here. The pressure was on. He delivered today. This is awesome.
Well, we'll have a quick check with our GTD pole sitter for Kelly Moss with Riley. 2 Porsches on the front board, 24.529, 24.539. So I'd say, when we say, Jeremy, that the equipment is identical, I think we've kind of proved that there with 2 Porsches a 100th of a second between them. One the Pro class and one the GTD class.
Yeah, no argument there. But it was certainly, an excellent job by both of those two. Alec Udell, he's not the best known of drivers out there, but he's a really talented young man. He's from the Woodlands in Texas, a suburb of Houston, and he's had success in Porsches over the years in a bunch of different series, and also went over to Europe and won the European GT4. FIA GT4 Championship a couple of years ago as well. So yeah. Really talented young man, and great to see him having this opportunity with Kelly Moss with Riley, and David Brulé, who's given him this chance to drive this car and taking full advantage of it. Great effort for his first pole position for Alec Udell in just his 6th start in this championship.
And Shea is with him now. We can hear how happy he is as well. I suspect, Shea, you've got another very happy Porsche driver with you in the shape of Alec Udell.
Yeah, you just said it feels good, and it's nice also that the hat matches your overalls, so meant to be on pole.
Exactly. Yeah, we obviously have been working really hard with the program. We've had, of course, ups and downs, just like any new program, any new car has at the beginning of the year. So very happy with all the guys at Riley and all the guys from Kelly Moss to come together on such a big effort to bring a new car to the paddock and to bring a new team to the paddock. So we've had some good success so far, and we're just looking to build on that here at Laguna Seca.
First pole for the new car also. That's a really big deal. And how good is it that you've got an identical one next to you?
Yeah, I was wondering who was in the pole with the GTD Pro class, so it was cool to see the other Porsche pull up next to us. So yeah, I think it just shows the Porsche is really strong here at Laguna Seca. Of course, it comes up to the driver as well. This track is very tricky. It's very easy to put a wheel off. They've made some improvements to the circuit at WeatherTech Raceway here, adding a couple of runoffs here and there, which make it maybe a little less tricky, but still, you've got some high commitment zones, turn 6 up to the corkscrew, down out of the corkscrew, that you can put a wheel wrong and get things, out of sorts, if you will. But otherwise, very happy. I think we keep just making small little improvements on the car, and it shows here.
How much is left in the tires for the start of tomorrow's race? Because you were out there a while.
Yeah, I think we pitted maybe a lap later than some of the other cars. I think our degradation has been pretty decent. It's up to the driver a lot, and so I try not to slide the tire too much. My driving style is pretty clean. Maybe a little bit messy in the qualifying session, but I usually am pretty solid on tires, and it's just going to be up to conserving it as much as we can. But if we can have clean air, then we're happy, and we run with some good and hopefully not taking too much off the front of the car.
Well, it was a double Porsche win last year, so good luck carrying that forward tomorrow.
Thanks, Shay. Appreciate it.
What a considered interview that was from Alec Udell, and fabulous to hear how thoughtful Jeremy was after that great performance. He's right, it is going to be interesting tomorrow, but he's put himself in the best possible position, pole positioning class and on the front row, with another Porsche alongside him. Now, they're not teammates, but you would think that those two teams would have a bit of a chat with each other, because what you don't want to do is have those two coming together at the first corner tomorrow.
Yeah, very true. And of course, you're right. They're both Porsches, and they're running in different classes as well.
Correct.
It's the same, exactly the same specification of car, because there's no difference in the cars between GTD Pro and GTD. But at least they're not battling. Whatever position they are ahead of each other doesn't matter in terms of the championship. But you're right about Alec. I mean, he's got a great head on his shoulders. I've known him for quite a lot of years now. He was one of the youngest drivers back in the day. He started when he was very, very young in SRO Cup, was now SRO in World Challenge Series, and he's just a delightful young man, and great to see him having this sort of success and getting this opportunity.
Coming up next, we have the prototypes, or the first part of the prototypes at least, with the LMP2s. Now this one, Shea, is pretty easy because the drivers for this are the mandated drivers, depending on the driver categorizations, correct, Shea Adam?
Yep. It has to be the bronze drivers. So John Ferrano is the championship leader, and he takes out the 8 for Tower Motorsport in the 04. That is the CrowdStrike racing car. That one is Mr. CrowdStrike himself, George Kurtz. Number 11, well, that one from TDS is Stephen Thomas, who put the car on pole last year and set the race lap record in qualifying by dint of doing that. Beat the previous best time for the LMP2 in the current spec. For the sister car, the number 35, that is Francois Haro, who has to do the qualifying duties for them. The numbers 51 and 52 are not sister cars, even though they are right next to each other in terms of the numbering system. 51 will be Eric Lux, that is the Richter racing car, and the 52, well, that is the qualifying master as far as LMP2 is concerned. Ben Keating making a return to the class this weekend. Wasn't planning on running the current races, but got the call up to fill in for his friend Patrick Kelly. So once again, we have Ben Keating looking for a pole position in LMP2. The other car that I did not mention, I believe, is the number 20. That car was very quick earlier on in the hands of Ed Jones, but it has to be Dennis Anderson doing qualifying duties for them. Did I miss anyone out?
Don't think so. I'm just looking.
Excellent.
No, I think that I'm very happy with that. That's 8 cars out on the circuit. Thank you, Shea. And therefore, the density of machinery should be a lot less. So everybody, I don't hear anybody complaining about getting a lap spoiled here. Except, of course, they've all gone out together, or at least there's a clump of them in the middle, led by Ben Keating. Oh, I see what's going on here. This is sort of Motul 3 and Motul 2. Everybody's trying to get onto the back of Ben Keating as the qualifying maestro, and they're trying to follow him around. Okay, well, we'll take that. Basically reprise what we said before, Jeremy. These are downforce cars, but again, it won't be one and done. It won't be the first lap for these cars either. They'll want to be kind and gentle to their Michelin tyres for a lap or two.
Yeah, and these are non-pro drivers, so the pros are much better at getting up to ultimate speed right away. The gentleman drivers, it takes them a little bit longer to do so, and the tyres that have been running here, Michelin tyres, are pretty durable in any case. So I'm sure that the cars won't be full of fuel, but they'll have enough fuel to run for say 17 minutes, including out and in laps, and then they will, as the fuel load burns down, they will get faster and faster. So I would expect the best times to come right at the end of the session. And I think once again, quite likely we're going to have a battle between Ben Keating and Stephen Thomas. Those two have been going head-to-head in qualifying for the last couple of years. It's really been fun to watch.
Ben Keating is just entertainment personified. Whether he's here in IMSA or in the FIA WEC, it's last season in the FIA WEC. He said,
is this race or qualifying?
obviously a race is broken out here, Jeremy. You're absolutely right. 3 cars across the line together, and well, that's interesting, isn't it? As the Eric Lux number 51 Biohaven car goes through, and right on the tail of that car is that the...
That's the CrowdStrike.
It is the CrowdStrike car, George, following him round. And
and they both got past White Merriman, didn't they, coming off the hairpin? Eric Lux thought about out-braking into the corner, thought better of it, and they almost came together, all 3 of them, at the exit. But they sorted themselves out, and Eric Lux is now going to try and pull away here from George Kurtz. But George has been really fast lately.
I think somebody's in the wall at turn 6. If not, there was a big drop of a wheel from somebody in front of those 2. So who would that have been? Well, that would have been Ben Keating, and he's still running. Okay. Eric Lux has been around for a little while, Jeremy, and let's see who it was. Oh, it was Ben Keating. Huge sideways moment. Quick hands to get that one back. He's got a future as a rallycross driver if he's going to start driving like that. So an untidy lap for Ben Keating is 2 seconds away from the best, which is a 1:21.4 from Stephen Thomas in the TDS number 11. Qualifying pace for these cars, they have been slowed down a little bit down the last few years. So what we're expecting?
Yeah, well, the best time last year was Stephen Thomas at 1:17.5, but they certainly have been slowed down, as you say, from last year. They've had some RPMs taken away. The cars are a little bit heavier this year as well, and various other little tweaks. So they're not as fast as they were. The fastest time in practice was a 1:17.7, so not even as quick as Stephen Thomas's pole last season by Ed Jones this morning. But that was the pro drivers at the wheel. This is a pro-am class, of course. So yeah, I think if an 18s or 19s would be a pretty good lap in the warmth of the day.
Yes, believe it or not, the track temperature is still going up. Now, an incredible 46 Celsius, 115 Fahrenheit, as Ben Keating goes to the top. Yes, he wasn't going to leave Stephen at the top. I'm sure all they have to do to get him to find a 10th or two here or there is call him on the radio and go, Stephen's P1, you're 2 seconds behind, Ben. He'd have been there. Here comes the other TDS car in the hands of Francois Hérault, and he goes to second with a 1:20.508. Ben Keating's been battling for pole in the WEC as well this season with Sarah Bovey generally from the Iron Dames. It's been brilliant to watch, and what a season he's had in the GTE version of the Corvette. He'll be going to Le Mans with that. We've got full coverage of that for you on our sister channel Radio Le Mans, Haggerty Radio Le Mans, on the air from Test Day Sunday, first weekend in June, with exclusive live coverage of that. Plus, for the race on Saturday, the following Saturday and Sunday, we'll have our usual Sirius XM channels for you here in the States. The only way that you can follow Le Mans live and free is on Haggerty Radio Le Mans. And before that, of course, we've got sound and vision coverage of the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. That's next weekend. So a busy month at the end of May and the beginning of June. Month of May, we think of Indianapolis. Month of May, if you're a sports car fan, you think of WeatherTech, Raceway, Laguna Seca, the Nürburgring, and then you're looking forward to Le Mans Test Day. And they're all coming up live and free for you in the next few weekends. So, who is on another quick one? Stephen Thomas improved, but stays third. Hérault bumped down to fourth position. And Ben Keating is not on top of the pile. It's George Kurtz, Jeremy Shaw, with a 19.8.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's as I said earlier on, he's come on in leaps and bounds the last few years, as George. I mean, he's driving a lot these days in all sorts of different cars, and that experience he's using, as you should do, and getting faster in all the different cars he's driving as well. So, yeah, tremendous lap there for George, and he'd be looking to put one over the regular two sparring partners, Ben Keating and Stephen Thomas, who are now separated, by the way, those two by 0.006. Oh no, they're not, because Ben Keating has jumped to the top here with a 1:19.3, so he's got a half a second now over George Kurtz.
Remember, this is qualifying for the race tomorrow, relatively early in the afternoon Pacific time. And we'll be live with Michelin Countdown to Green. Then we'll fire up the World Feed TV for those of you outside of the US. If you're in the UK, you'll know that Viaplay on the Sky satellite platform air the races normally live. However, it will be on tape delay and not until 6 a.m. Monday morning. The race is much earlier than that on Sunday evening, but you still have access to the free World TV service, the World Feed TV service, with the IMSA radio commentary on it as well. So no need for you to get up early on Monday morning if you've got to go to work. Settle yourself down on Sunday night. And as Jeremy was saying earlier on, if you're on the East Coast, by the way, please make sure you check the time for tomorrow's race, because we are on relatively early in the afternoon here. That said, Jeremy, the 2 hour 40 minute will be in the heat of the day tomorrow, won't it?
Yes, indeed, it will. So, yeah, that's, but, you know, conditions, yeah, not dissimilar, we hope, to what they are now.
Yeah.
Stephen Thomas improved on his last lap. He got within 0.4 of a second of Ben Keating, but still in second place. So George Kurtz remains in third, did not improve last time around.
3 drivers under 80 seconds, being George in third, Stephen Thomas in second, and Ben Keating in the lead. And just running the clock down under 4 minutes. Seeing who's improving again. Eric looks improved again last time around. There's Keating coming into the final corner, turn 11. George Kurtz in the 0-4, the CrowdStrike car, in behind Eric Lux. Might just get a little draft to the line. See if George improves here. Needs to find half a second to get on the front row, and does not. I just wonder whether the performance in the tyres with this track heat, Jeremy, might just be going away a little bit now. I mean, you made a good point, in fairness, that these are not pro drivers, and therefore may not have that innate ability to switch the tyres on exactly when they want them. It's something that is a real skill, and even some good drivers, good pro drivers, can't do it. And you know, these guys are far from being pro drivers, although Ben Keating's probably one of the best bronze drivers in the world at the moment.
Yeah, true that. He is fast in anything he drives these days as well, and you know, he too has got a lot of experience, a lot of different cars over the last, well, decade or so now, probably for Ben Keating's case. Stephen Thomas has been racing a lot less than Ben has, but he's made really good strides. Not quite as consistent perhaps as Ben Keating, but Stephen Thomas is working on that in this brightly livered car number 11. One of 2 TDS racing entries in this field. They're both yellow and red. One's more yellow than red, and one's more red than yellow. That's how we tell them apart. It's a primarily yellow one that's car number 11. That's Stephen Thomas, and he's heading towards turn 5.
Yeah, he was sideways in the corkscrew last time around. Oh, that's track limits coming through turn 5, or hit the inside curb, then tried to compensate by having to steer a little bit more to the left. My goodness me. That was great car control, but it's taking it out of those rear Michelin tyres. He's a little more circumspect this time around. That was lovely through the middle part of the corkscrew. Now, is he putting a decent lap together? Blue number 2 on the side of the race number 11 car. That means he's second in the blue LMP2 class. Down to the final corner. Gets it in. Looks very, very pleasant through the middle of the corner. Crosses the line and does improve his time, but not his position. 1:19.718. Well, proof, if proof were needed, that he's still got a bit of life in his tyres and had got a little bit of speed in himself. Here's Eric Lux coming down to the bottom of the hill, Jeremy.
Yeah, and Eric, he's 5th fastest at the moment, and just about 1.7 off the fastest line. There goes another improvement, though, for Ben Keating. What a lap that is by car number 52, a 1:18.891. That is stout.
10th lap on his Michelin tyres. Now, all right, he's burned off some fuel. So first of all, kudos to the Michelin tyres for 10 laps in this heat and still being able to pull out a time. A 1:18.8 for Ben Keating takes him 0.8 of a second ahead of the rest of the field. Brilliant stuff from the Texan. Now, surely he's going to park that car now. Dennis Anderson coming to turn 4, and he's got the number 35 behind him, of Francois Hérault in the TDS. Checkered flag is out. One of the things we love about sports car racing and endurance racing, in particular of all motorsport, that has a world championship and in races like Rolex 24 and Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, is the fact that non-pro drivers can compete. Over the last probably decade, maybe a little bit further back than that, the amount of commitment that gentlemen drivers have got to put into the sport has gone up massively. Kurtz to the top! George Kurtz, at the very last yawning moment, has snatched away Ben Keating's pole position. He was nearly a second, he needed to find nearly a second, and he's done it by 0.061 of a second. And that dedication, that investment in time and driving has paid off in spades for the CrowdStrike Racing by APR Orica LMP2. And George Kurtz with a 1:19.262. Jeremy Shaw, tell me about that. How did that happen? He got a clear lap right at the end, and he absolutely executed perfectly.
Take your hat off there to George Kurtz. That was a magnificent lap that he put together. I mean, yeah, he knew the time was in the car. It's just a question of extracting it. He hadn't done it until he had to on that very final lap. Just one more chance to do it, and he nailed it. What a great lap that was for George Kurtz. This is just his 11th start in this championship. A lot of experience, as I said, in all sorts of different other cars. He's a tech guru. He was the guy who founded. He was one of his companies. He sold to McAfee, the digital encryption experts, some years ago. He founded CrowdStrike after that. He's a self-made man, and he's a self-made racing driver as well. He spent a lot of his time and still drives in another series with Colin Brown. Actually, he's been his driver coach for a long time. But George Kurtz, so yet again here we've got a first-time pole sitter in this championship. A fine effort by George Kurtz. So that CrowdStrike Racing with APR, with the Algarve Pro Racing team.
Stuart and Sam Cox know how to put a good car together, and they've got plenty of experience with these LMP2 cars. And George Kurtz has done exactly what he needed to do as he pulls up at the end of the pit lane. Wow, what a way to get himself. Now, he's a very busy boy in the next few weeks, because unsurprisingly he is racing at the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, and he's also, before that of course, he's going to be going to Le Mans. My goodness me, he's had the phone call on the pits to car radio, and that very handsome grey and red Orica will start from pole position tomorrow. And you know what? And Shea Adams down there, watching him take his helmet off. We'll let the guys from NBC have a chat with him first. He looks, Shea, just as if, oh yeah, of course, that's exactly what I expected to happen. He got out the car, yes, there was a little, I'm number one, finger in the air type of thing. But he looks very relaxed, cool, very cool customer. And Shea Adam, it looks as if George was like, oh yeah, we knew we had that. We knew that was going to come.
I'm wondering how much confidence George has gotten over the last couple of seasons. He races in SRO with Colin Brown, and over there he starts one race and he finishes the second race, but he has been victorious as the finishing driver, most recently in their last round. So for George, it's all about building the confidence to know that you can do it, but actually doing it, that makes a big difference. I'm wondering how much that has translated over for him. And now, of course, the pressure is going to be on Colin Brown to go out and get pole position, because anything George can do, Colin can do, and maybe a little bit better in some cases. Well, we know it would be a little bit better because the lap time would be better. But for George, this is magnificent, George. That pole position, how much confidence have you gained by being the finishing driver in another series and taking wins?
You know, it's certainly helped out. You know, when the pressure's on, you got to just dig, and we caught some traffic during the laps, and we just backed off on that last one, and we knew we had good pace in the car, and we had one lap to do it, and we got it done.
Well, at one stage, you were really a second behind Ben's best time. Did you know that you had more in the car?
Yeah, I think I knew we had more in the car, and, you know, obviously Ben's top shelf, so it was great to be able to get him at the end there, but we just needed a clean lap, and that's what we got at the end.
Yeah, you did a phenomenal lap, and we're used to CrowdStrike fast laps, that's the thing. But in this series, running in the LMP2 car, next time you're driving an LMP2, it's going to be over in France. How much are you thinking about that?
Absolutely. Well, I'm thinking a lot about that. So I've been doing the simulator work, got to get some testing done, and hopefully we'll be ready, but really excited about that. And I couldn't think of a better showing for the 100th anniversary there.
Congratulations on your first pole. Definitely won't be your last.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Cool as a cucumber, Jeremy. Oh, yeah. I mean, you said it. You thought he must have known he had it in the car. He stayed out for 11 laps on those Michelin tyres, and only two other drivers, Dennis Anderson and Dwight Merriman. I mean, he's clearly very happy, but well, anytime you finish in front of Ben Keating in practice qualifying or a race, you're doing something well. But my goodness me, that is a great run for George. Confidence,
well, it
absolutely.
really is. Yeah, absolutely right. Fantastic effort by him there. He's got that's a real feather in your cap to beat Ben Keating anywhere, and particularly here, because this is a tricky racetrack, as we've already talked about. And he knew he had one last chance to do it, and as he said, he stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park. Brilliant effort by him. He finished second in the first race of the season at Daytona. That, of course, wasn't a championship round. But he's got good pace in these cars. He's shown well. He's had a win before in IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Competition. That came at Sebring back in 21 when he was driving for the core team with Colin Brown and John Bennett. So he knows how to get it done, and he'll be looking for a win here tomorrow. He certainly starts from the best possible position.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I am impressed. Yeah. You know, For a non-pro driver, I agree with you about getting track timing in different cars, Jeremy. But we've seen sometimes non-pro drivers get confused themselves when they drive different machinery. He's been jumping in and out of GT3 cars. He's been jumping in and out of the P2 car. The P2 car, not an easy car to drive now. The pace has been taken out of it. The engine's been taken out of it. So the engine power's been taken out of it. They run the low downforce kit all the time on that car, and the driving style has meant it even more attack through the centre of the corners, which I suppose in some ways not too different from a GT car. But we've seen people lose their way at that in the past. George hasn't. You said it absolutely right. He's thriving on this at the moment. Give me something to drive, I'll drive it. It's not what you used to driving, George. Don't care. I want to drive. Good for him.
Yeah, but it's all about experience and track time. And driving different cars, just expanding your knowledge base, basically. So you've got more information to draw from. It doesn't really matter what the car is, particularly early in your career, and particularly when you don't start out as a youngster, as he and most of these guys who are now racing in LMP2 didn't. They all took up racing much later in their lives than most of the people they're driving with in this race. So that was a really, really excellent job by George there to get that pole position, and particularly on a track here like WeatherTech Raceway. There's so much history here. It's such a challenging track. Everybody knows it's a really challenging track. So a great feather in his cap to get his first pole position here on the West Coast.
Let's head to Shea Adam. We have one final qualifying run to go. It is for the 9, check that, 9 GTP cars. Shea, what do you reckon? Who's going to be doing what in which car?
Okay, well, these are my predictions from before we even got to the racetrack, and I will give justification as to why, and I will let you know if they are indeed correct, if I know that they're correct. Sebastian Bourdais has done every single qualifying for this 2023 season for the 01 Cadillac Racing entry. He is going to be doing qualifying today. Once again, because I saw him in his fire suit with his Hans device and his helmet, so yes, he is going to be piloting that car. I think it's Tim-Jan Vanderhelm for the number 5 JDC Miller Porsche 963. That doesn't get old to say ever. All right, green flag is out, so we'll try and go through these a bit quick. We've got Pippo Durrani doing every single qualifying session so far this season for the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. He's continuing on that tradition. For the 2 Porsches, well, it should be Matthew Jaminet because it's his turn. And he got pole here in 2022 with Pfaff Motorsport. And guess what? He's behind the wheel of the championship leading number 6 for Porsche Penske Motorsport. For the sister car, it should be Matty Campbell because it is his turn. And guess what? He's piloting that car as well. And it is time, by the way, for the number 5, the other Porsche. For the number 10, that's the Konica Minolta Acura. It should be Ricky Taylor because he has gotten 3 pole positions here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. I haven't yet seen that car, so I can't confirm. Augusto Farfus has done the last 2 qualifyings for the number 24 BMW MT Marlel, so I think it'll be Philip Bang. For the number 25, I think it'll be Connor Di Filippi because it's his turn, the sister car. And finally, last but certainly not least, the number 60 Meyer Shank Racing Acura. It's been Tom Blomqvist every time, so I think it's time for Colin Brown.
Let's see if you're right, Shea. Thank you very much indeed. Qualifying records, Jeremy, and it might be a bit warm for that today, but a good chance for us to see how the cars perform at what is race time tomorrow. What are the qualifying? Well, we don't have qualifying records for these cars, do we? Of course, we're setting new ones. However, what do we compare them against?
Well, the pole last year in the DPI cars, which have been improved over 6 years, was a 13.9. But it's warm this afternoon. The fastest time we've seen so far was a 1 minute 15.493. That was by Matt Campbell this morning in this morning's practice session. I think we'll probably go quicker than that. But low 15s, possibly high 14s. We'll see. It's hard to tell. But all of these guys that are out now ran a qualifying simulation towards the end of that last practice session, just a couple of 3 hours ago. So they've got good recent experience of how the track is. Hasn't really changed too much since then. Maybe gone up a few degrees, as you've been talking about. The track temperature is continuing to rise. Because it's 1:45 here in the afternoon or thereabouts, so the sun's beating down. It's pretty hot. It's going to be a challenge for these guys to get the best out of these cars. There's a lot of technology here. We've seen mistakes by various drivers over the last couple of race weekends, and these cars are tricky to drive.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So Timon van der Helm out in the banana boat, the number 5 JDC machine, and he's taking it very easily on his 2 out laps. Now, it was 20 minutes this session rather than the standard 15. And a reminder, if you've been away from this championship for a wee while, or perhaps you're new to it, a big change in qualifying for GTP in that for everybody else you can't touch the car, but here you can come in and change tyres, and we've seen that tactic employed sometimes with better results than others. But from this session to the end of the 2 hours and 40-minute race tomorrow, the GTPs have 3 sets of new Michelin race tyres. So it's tactics starting right now, Jeremy, isn't it? In terms, we always talk about there's as much skill on the wall and as much brain power on the wall as there is behind the wheel in the race. Well, that actually is now being brought back to this session for qualifying as well. Do you use a second set, or do you save 2 sets for the race tomorrow?
Or do you scrub in a set of tyres, just maybe one slow lap or sort of medium speed lap, just to take the kind of the edge off the tyre, so that's ready to go for tomorrow. And then you put all your concentration into getting the best out of one set of tyres. I don't think we'll see. I very much doubt we'll see drivers like happened at Daytona, for example, first race of the season, where Tom Blomqvist went out specifically on 2 sets of tyres to try and get the pole position. I don't think we're going to see that here. If there's a red flag later in the session, that plan can be messed up, as it was, I think, for him at Sebring. And plus, you've then taken your best out of a second set of tyres. So I think we'll only see one really push hard lap on one set of tyres, but it's going to be interesting to see who does change and say maybe scrub it, just what they call scrub in and say, just take the edge off them to get ready for the race tomorrow.
Shea Adam.
The only opportunity they're going to have to do it otherwise is tomorrow morning in a warm-up.
Ah, yes, we do have warm-up tomorrow. Shea Adam, who's been scrubbing tyres?
The 31 Whalen Engineering Cadillac in the hands of Pipo Durrani has come in and changed 2 sets of tires. That's him rumbling back down the pit lane once again. Same thing for the 25 of Connor De Filippi. The BMW has come in and changed tires twice. So now they're back out again. I think now they're actually going for their run. We do have 2 other cars back into the pit lane after doing the sighting laps. I think they were perhaps leaving the pit lane on a set of tires, just scuffing them in and then going. Those 2 cars were the 24 of Philip Eng, which is now on the track, and the 10, which I'm waiting for that Konica Minolta Acura to go back out. We've just had Colin Brown leave a few moments ago, so he should be on his first flying lap here shortly, but have not yet seen an exit from the 0-1. That is Sebastian Bourdais. He's done this a couple of times so far this year, guys, and it's worked for him.
Hello to Martin McFly at IMSA Radio. Listening to our audio. You don't just have to have the audio up, even if you're in the US for this session. Qualifying sessions always available on IMSA.tv and via the video player at IMSARadio.com. And at the moment, the noise behind my voice is that of the V8 Porsche twin turbo of the number 7. And behind the wheel of that Porsche Penske motorsports car is Matt Campbell. It is the 2 Matts who are qualifying. 7 with the black pinstripes, 6 with the white. It's a handsome beast heading down towards turn 2. 3 cars for Le Mans, of course, in the multicoloured stripes, the rainbow stripes of the 75th anniversary of Porsche's first road car, with black, red and white rear fins to delineate the cars, which is great if you can see them from side on. I really hope there's something else. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of broadcasters from Le Mans saying, well, it's one of the Porsches. Timon van der Helm from JDC, 1:18. Just bringing those tyres nicely up to temperature. I like this approach, Jeremy, from young Timon.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going for the pole position. He knows that. He's just out there to gain some experience, more experience in this car. Never even driven it, never even sat in the car prior to yesterday. This car has turned a wheel before. It did that at Weissach at the test track in Germany before it was delivered to the team in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, but not by either of the drivers who were driving it this weekend. It was by a factory driver, I think it was Matty Campbell, who turned those laps at Weissach. So it's a steep learning curve for Timon van der Helm and for Mike Rockenfeller. They've done a lot of preparation on the sim, but not in the actual race car. So they're just going to get as many laps as they can. This weekend, it's just a very steep learning curve for that JDC Miller Motorsports team.
It's Jeremy Shaw with me, John Hindhoff. And Shea Adam down in the pit lane.
15.8 there for Colin Brown in car number 60 at the first step to lay down a really good lap. It's actually only a tenth of a second away from the best lap he turned during the practice session as qualifying sim a little bit earlier today. Looks like he's going faster now. He wasn't in the first sector. He was purple in the second sector.
Flirting with
purple. It's now been eclipsed by Matty Campbell, who's on a really good lap behind him, but there is an improvement for Colin Brown.
15.727. flirting with disaster on the exit of turn at number 11. Still 10.5 minutes to go, and nobody has pitted for new tyres yet.
There we go.
Campbell, first 1 minute 14 of this session, but it's still at 1:14.9.
And shame to say that several of the teams stopped in the pits a couple of times to change tyres, John. But I don't think they're going to be doing two qualifying runs on two different sets of tyres.
Yes.
But yeah, great lap there from Matty Campbell. The first guy into the 14s and 1:14.950 for Matty Campbell. That is 0.6 of a second faster than the race lap record he has set last year. Great lap by Matty Campbell.
So that's the first of the teams who have changed their tyres getting among the top runners, with Philip Eng in third and Pete Durrani in fourth. He's been down the pit lane twice. I suspect that's scrubbing tyres in, as Jeremy mentioned earlier. What that means is they've just taken the shine off the top of those Michelin tyres. They're famous for that silver shine. They use a silver compound as a release agent from the race tyre moulds. And now to the top for Matt Campbell. He increases his gap.
Chamonix up to second place.
Chamonix to second, excuse me. Yes, 14.950. Chamonix up to second with a 5:15.570. So Porsche Penske Motorsport, Jeremy, perhaps buoyed by their victory on the streets of Long Beach last time out, which was as much tactical as it was pace. They didn't have the pace, and they still stood on the top step of the podium, and that's what it all counts. But maybe a newfound confidence for that Porsche Penske Motorsport team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great session so far. I mean, fastest in both of the sessions so far for Matt Campbell, and now fastest again here, but not by much. Pete Durrani gets within 0.057 is Pete Durrani's time, slower than Matty Campbell. 1:15.007 then for Pete Durrani in car number 31. That's a Whelen Engineering Cadillac. Splits the two Porsches.
So Peebo delivers, as Peebo does. Colin Brown's in the pits. That's his first time down the pitway. Pit road. Jamming it.
Wow.
864, and his teammate then does a 774. These two Porsches on point at the moment, still on their first set of tyres, Jeremy. Now, are they just going to stay out for the next 7.5 minutes and save some tyres?
Well, their tyre strategy was perfect at Long Beach because it earned them the race victory. Saved a lot of time by not changing tyres during the pit stops. Of course, that's the shortest race on the schedule, just 100 minutes. This is 2 hours and 40 minutes, so a much longer race here. You're not going to be double stinting the tyres here, particularly because of the fact that this track is really hard on rubber at the best of times. But great laps by both of those two, just less than 1/10 of a second between them. Pete Durrani is only 1.5 less than that behind him, and Ricky Taylor, fourth position now for Konica Minolta Acura.
So
Filippi improves to fifth position, but his time a 15.64 15.648 for Conor Di Filippi. It's good for fifth fastest, but still 0.8 of a second away from those two Porsches at the front. Six and a half minutes remaining. Brown now down to the sixth position. Philippe Eng in the second, the BMW's in seventh. Then Sebastian Bourdais, who is a full 1.7 seconds away from outside the pole time at the moment. In the Cadillac Racing Ganassi run, car number 01, 1 minute 16.489 for Sebastian Bourdais. Timon van der Helm brings JDC Miller Motorsports in car into the pits. He's completed 8 laps in car number 5. His best lap, 1:16.995.
At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, still plenty of action to come today. 5.5 minutes just over on this session. as they dive down to the final corner. Oh, those Porsches
really
look
hanging out,
so hooked up though, don't they? Jaminet drifting the car. He's within a tenth of a second. Well, 0.090 of a second of his teammates. 14.774, 14.864, and they're still on the first set of tyres. They're driving around 7 in front of 6, which slightly upsets me that they're not in number order, but that's how they are on the timing screen as well, so I suppose I can forgive them for that. Best of the rest is Pipo Derani in the number 31. And the Whelen Engineering Cadillac comes to the pit lane with 5 minutes to go.
Sebastian Bourdais does improve in car number 01 up into 5th position now with a 1 minute 15.409, and that's within 6 tenths of a second of the pole time now, so it's certainly getting closer at the front of the field. All cars, well, 8 of the 9 cars, the only exception being the JDC Miller Motorsports car, which is a couple of seconds off. All of the other 8 cars within a second with 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining.
I think there's one last hurrah from everybody here, Jeremy, and the 2 Porsches have come in with 4 minutes on the clock. So that, if they are, in fact, it's only Colin Brown, Conor De Filippi and Sebastian Bourdais who are still out on the track. So a third of the field are out, 2/3 are in. Bourdais not made a pit stop yet, so he's on his original set of Michelin tyres, and I suspect he's going to stay on those till the end now. So this is a different tactic from Cadillac Racing and Chip Ganassi. Comes down to turn 10 now, towards the curb, back on the throttle. Now he's staying out. So they're only going to use one set here, Jeremy. They're seeing it a different way from everybody else, but again, there's somebody you're not going to second guess, Chip Ganassi Racing.
No, yeah, they've got tomorrow morning to scrub in tyres, so
yeah,
that's fine. They're not losing out there. Last lap around was a 15.5 again, so he's done a 15.4 and a 15.5. But it doesn't seem to be improving on this lap through the first sector, down a little bit. Ricky Taylor's in the pit lane. Top 4 cars are in the pits with 2.5 minutes remaining. So if they're going to go out again, they better get a hurry on.
Perhaps they're not. Maybe they're not. Maybe they think, right,
Exactly,
we've done enough.
Yep.
I'm going to have to check the regs because I'm not sure whether the warm-up is one of the sessions you can use your last 3 sets in. You might have to go back to a different set of tyres. It only specifically mentions in the SSR, the supplementary regulations, only qualifying and race. So they may have to go to, well, Shea mentioned it in my ear, and I immediately went and looked at the first page of the SSRs, and it specifically mentions just those 2 sessions. So it means you're going to have to go back to one of the 3 sets that you used earlier in the weekend. So that will be brand new tyres for Chip Ganassi. Is that going to be a help or a hindrance? I suppose we'll find out after the first pit stop tomorrow.
Yeah.
It does mean that they've got 2 brand new, unused, pristine sets of Michelin tyres for that 01 car.
Yeah, let me answer that one tomorrow. Here's a look at Colin Brown now. Overcooked it going into the corkscrew. He just improved last time around up to 3rd position for Colin Brown in number 60, Sirius XM Meyer Shank Racing Acura. He turned a 1 minute 14.797, but then tried to carry a little bit too much speed on the last lap. Lost a bit of time at the corkscrew, but good pace here for Colin Brown. He's got one more chance to do it. Less than a minute remaining now.
Oh.
There's only a couple of cars out on track. Sebastian Bourdais, who did improve last time around, a 15.335. So he's just over half a second off the pole time.
This has been a really impressive and exciting qualifying session everything that we've expected. It is only Colin Brown now. This is it. It'll be checkered flag for him next time around. It's now or never for the number 60 car. 0.2 of a second from the sharp end of the field, and finds a 10th. He's on the front row, Jeremy, in fairness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly pushing hard, no doubt about that, but I don't think it's an improvement. Yeah, it's not an improvement on this lap, but he's certainly pushing hard. He's going to back it off and come into the pit lane, but he's certainly got plenty of confidence in that car. He was chucking it around like it was a little toy, but I think he'd used the best of those Michelin tires for this session, and the checkered flag flies, and pole position then for Matt Campbell. So our 4th different pole sitter this year. Daytona, it was Tom Blomqvist. At Sebring, it was Pipo Derani on the pole position. Last time out for Acura, and this time the first pole for Porsche, and it's Matt Campbell.
Well, following up their first victory with their first pole position, and it is the number 7 car. That'll rankle between those two teams. Close teammates, of course, but you get the feeling that Mathieu Jaminet and Nick Tandy would have liked to have had that. Nick was on his way to a pole position at Rolex Daytona 24 before the gust of wind took him into the wall.
Before he binned it.
Yes, absolutely. So it will be Matt Campbell, the affable Antipodean, who will be on pole position. So how's the pole gone for GTP this year, Jeremy? Is that the first non-Acura?
No, Pipo Derani was on the pole at Sebring.
Yes.
So we've had Acura, 2 for Acura, 1 for Cadillac, and now 1 for Porsche as well. And Matt Campbell has had 1 pole position before, so he's the only one of our pole sitters today to have previously won a pole in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So he's already shown he can get it done, but not this is his first pole in a prototype. So hats off here to Matty Campbell. He got the pole last year at Lime Rock Park in the 911 GT3R, but this is a completely different kettle of fish.
So head down to Shea, down at the end of pit lane. It'll be our colleagues from NBC who jump in first of all, but good to see that Porsche getting themselves together. Shea?
Porsche locking out both front rows because it's going to be a split start tomorrow. So we have 2 GT Porsches and then 2 prototype Porsches for the front row overall. It's quite exciting, and especially for Matty and Felipe Nasser, they are fighting back in the championship, whereas their sister car is leading the championship. So for them, the 35 points for pole, it makes the gap to the cars that they are chasing just a little bit smaller. That's going to be the exciting news for them out of today. And yes, the last time Matt Campbell sat on pole position, as Jeremy rightly said, was Lime Rock, a race that they went on to find victory in. So Matt will be very happy to be reminded about that as well. But this coming as a bit of a special opportunity because last year it was Matt's teammate, Mathieu, who put the car on pole for Pfaff. So now Matt, in his second ever time at this track, managing to match what his teammate did last year. So kind of exciting, but he doesn't even have a bead of sweat on his forehead, John. It's not exactly fair when you get drivers in. All right, it's not hot today, but he had to be working out there, especially to get ahead of some of the other drivers' names that he did. I think we're going to be about another minute, John.
Okay, that's fine. We'll wait out for that because this is an historic moment. Then with Matt Campbell. He's graduated up from the GT ranks, of course. Get in with Porsche, and it's good for your career. There's no doubt about that. Right, let's head down. Hear his thoughts. Shea Adam is with the pole sitter for tomorrow's race.
Last time you were on pole, Matt converted it to a win. It's going to be the same level of difficulty doing it with the prototype.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a different thing for sure. But starting off pole here is really, really critical. It's an extremely tough tough track to pass on, and it's got really high degradation. So track position is going to be really key tomorrow, and strategy will, I think, really come into play. So fantastic to be up the front. Obviously, our first pole ever for the new 963, and we've made some really good improvements. So hopefully we can keep the ball rolling on from Long Beach.
In terms of Porsche, today is an ideal day with front row lockouts for both of the classes, the split starts. How important is that going to be for you guys, the fact that it is a split start for tomorrow? You're going to catch traffic a lot sooner.
Yeah, 100%. And this track is going to be so busy tomorrow. There's so many cars, and passing, even for us, is quite difficult in some places too, especially with the degradation. So I'm sure it will be an interesting race. It's great that Porsche's obviously in pole in GTD as well, and for us. So hopefully that, means a good thing going into the race.
Are you excited about the prospect of new tires at some point during the race tomorrow? You didn't get that at Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm not too sure at the moment. I mean, obviously, depending on yellows and strategy, maybe Felipe already gets in at the first stop. So I'll start the race, and then we'll have to assess when the first yellows come out and how the race plays. So we know we've got a good car. We need to tune a few things up for the long runs, but nevertheless, we've got a really good base, and fantastic to get our first pole in New 963.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.